I call the June 13th, 2023 regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We'll have a roll call vote. Commissioner Holman, not here. Commissioner Barrow,
Here.
Commissioner Gay, excused absence. Commissioner Christensen,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Martinez,
Here.
Commissioner Michelson, present. We do let the record reflect that a quorum is present for the meeting. Approval of the agenda. Director Rubin, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda at this time.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
With the motion approved and seconded, we'll have a roll call vote. Commissioner Barrow,
Yay.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yay.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Michelson, yes. The motion carries unanimously. Public comment period. Residents may address the Planning and Zoning Commission to comment on issues, problems, or successes on topics that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Audience members will be given an opportunity to comment on agenda items as they come up. Speakers must register with the village staff prior to the beginning of the meeting. I have a list of those signed up to speak. Please come up to the podium as your name is called. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Public comment sign up, Camille Varas.
Testing. Could you hear me? Good evening, commissioners and administrative staff. Camille Vados, 427 El Paraíso Road, Los Ranchos. I was going to be writing my comments, but I just had carpal tunnel repair and my hand is still in recovery. But nonetheless, I want to congratulate Mita. I didn't know that she was expecting. I've been gone for 3 or so months, so congratulations. Anyway, knowing that our Village Center project on Osuna and 4th, which covers 12.5 miles, is undergoing. I just hope that the commissioners and the Board of Trustees realize or are cognizant of the traffic that's already starting. And I live right off of 4th and the first house on my street, and it's just hard to get on 4th Street. It's, you know, I've almost gotten hit many times. So traffic is a consideration, and it was before the development, and it's going to be, we don't even know the impact yet. Anyway, so my neighborhood, El Paraíso Neighborhood Association, is meeting on Thursday. We're going to talk about our school situation, you know, the restructuring, which should involve our community and parents, and many parents, families did not know what is coming down with in terms of restructuring. We're going to be addressing traffic and safety, because along with increase in people moving here and moving towards the village, we are concerned about our safety when it comes to traffic, and homeless people are sleeping on our ditch banks, which, is a concern, but, they have their, of our humanity, and they have rights, and hopefully they get help. We feel that overall, maybe development is going,
Ms. Vados, if you could finish your thought, your time has expired.
yes, I will. Development is a reality, but I hope we, in terms of planning and the zoning part, that development, looking at our agricultural environment is a consideration and is the utmost of consideration. Because as I grew up here, I'm going to be 74, I still live here in the village, and agriculture and our aesthetic environment still has value to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak during the public comment period who did not sign up prior to the meeting? Kiko, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak joining online?
There are no members, there's nobody in the public to speak online.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or comments from the commissioners? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been approved and seconded. Roll call vote. Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Michelson, yes. The motion carries unanimously. Public hearings and applications. Will all those who will be speaking before the commission tonight please stand up to be sworn in? This for all public hearings and applications on the agenda tonight.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move now to CU 2301, a request by Alexandra and Anthony Mediola for a guest house as allowed in 9.2.7 C5 in the A1 zone in the Guadalupe Trail character area. This property is located at 8001 Guadalupe Trail Northwest and is legally known as MRGCD Map 25, Tract 95, and contains 1.32 acres more or less. Are there any commissioners who will recuse themselves from this item? Director Rubin, may we have the planning report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item before you is a request for a guest house as allowed in the A1 zone in the Guadalupe Trail character area. The property currently contains one single-family dwelling of approximately 650.25 square feet and a detached carport structure. The applicant has requested to build a larger primary residence on the property. However, multiple dwellings on the property are not allowed in the village without first obtaining a conditional use permit classifying one of the residential units as a guest house. Typically, the conditional use permit process is administrative unless the village receives adverse comments on the application within the 15-day notice period. If adverse comments are received, the application is heard by the Planning Commission. In this case, the application must be heard by the Planning Commission because the existing structure is built in the property's setbacks, making it legally non-conforming. Because the action of classifying the existing dwelling unit as a guest house expands the use of the non-conforming structure, this application has been routed for review by the Planning Commission. The existing dwelling unit is in conformance with the requirements for a guest house, including being less than 1,000 square feet of heated space and not having a garage. The village received no adverse comments for the application. The department recommends approval of CU 23-01, a request for a guest house in the A1 zone in the Guadalupe Trail character area, with the findings and conditions identified in your planning report. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Are there any questions from the commission for Director Rubin? Is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Anthony Mendiola, my wife Alexandra Garcia.
Talk a little closer to the microphone, please.
Anthony Mendiola and my wife Alexandra Garcia.
Your address?
8001 Guadalupe Trail.
Mr. Chair, quick question. Did you stand up when I asked, when we were swearing folks in?
I've never been through this before, so I didn't
Okay.
know I was gonna have to sing.
Okay.
My apologies.
Yeah, can I get you, are you both going to speak?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I only saw two people stand, so please raise both your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just asking for approval to build a new primary residence there.
Are there any commissioners who have any questions for the applicant? I have no one sign up to speak for or against this item. Kiko, is there anyone joining online who would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this application?
If you are online and you'd like to speak in favor or opposition, please use the raise your hand button. There is nobody with their hand raised.
Okay, are there any further comments from the commission? Is there a motion to approve CU 2301?
I'll move we approve.
Is there a
I
second?
second it.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Barrow?
Yay.
Commissioner Christensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez?
Yes.
Commissioner Michelson? Yes. The motion carries unanimously. Let the record show that the public hearing, item 4A, the request for Alexander and Anthony Mendiola for a guest permit is formally closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move now to BV 2303, a request for James and Patricia Tilley for a variance from 9.2.7E2A, requiring 15-foot setbacks and 25-foot rear setbacks in the A1 zone in the South Rio Grande character area. The property is located at 4152 Dietz Farm Circle Northwest, is legally known as 009-006 Dietz Farm Number 2, Dale J. Bellama, and contains 0.72 acres more or less. Are there any commissioners who will recuse themselves from this item? Director Rubin, may we have the planning report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item before you is a request for a variance to the rear and side setback requirements in the A1 zone in order to construct a two-car garage. According to the applicant's justification letter, a 67-degree angle limits the buildable area on the southwest corner of the lot, pushing the proposed garage into the property under a low-leaning cottonwood tree that creates both a safety risk for the building as well as the tree. The setback requirements in the A1 zone for the side setback are 15 feet, and for the rear setback, they're 25 feet. Per hardship criteria 3, staff finds that the parcel is not particularly unusual in shape overall. However, the angle of the southwest corner of the property is severe enough to reduce the developable area on the lot if the setbacks are met. So staff recommends that the commission may find that this criteria applies. For hardship criteria 5, staff finds that other relevant factors exist that, when taken into account, indicate that granting of the variance could be justifiable given proper weight to the interests of the property owner, the public interest in protecting and fostering the character of the vicinity and the village, and the intent and purpose of the master plan and zone code. Established cottonwood trees in the village contribute to its unique character. The placement of the garage under the leaning tree presents both a potential safety risk to life and property and could adversely affect the tree roots. So staff recommends the commission may find that this does conform. This application does not affect the zoning of the property. Financial gain or loss was not cited as a factor prompting this request. The variance differs only enough to relieve the alleged hardship, as the request is to build to a 5-foot setback in the south side of the property and to a 13-foot setback in the rear of the property, deviating 12 feet and 10 feet from the required setbacks respectively. The alleged hardship was not self-imposed, or could be self-imposed by the property owner. The alleged hardship was not self-imposed by the property owner. No prior application for a variance has been submitted on the property in the last 6 months, and this variance does not set precedents, as the basis for its approval is meeting hardship criteria 3 and 5. The department recommends approval of V2303, a request for a variance from 9.2.7 E2A, requiring 15-foot side setbacks and a 25-foot rear setbacks in the A1 zone in the South Rio Grande character area, with the findings and conditions identified in your planning report. Findings for denial are also included should the commission wish to vote that way. And with that, I will stand with it for any questions.
Are there any questions from the commission for Director Rubin?
Mate, I have one. On those closing in, the survey did not show any kind of setbacks, easement setbacks. With a real estate background, if they build inside the easement, there is an encroachment. Is that not in that easement area?
So the property owner would not be able to build in an easement. That is
Right.
correct.
Right. And it is not in the easement, reducing it.
That is my understanding.
Okay, that's it.
It would be further into the property rather than closer to the boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us what you'd like to speak about on the application.
My name is Jim Tilley, and I live at 4152 Dietz Farm Circle Northwest, and this is my wife, Trish. She's here for moral support. The staff recommended approval of this, so I don't really know what my next step is. I don't want to keep you guys any longer than you need to. This is important to us. As a general summary, we raised we've lived in the village for 31 years. We've been in the valley for about 41 years. We've lived in this house for 31 years. And we did raise our 2 kids in this house, one living area, great kitchen, and it worked for us. But as they've found spouses and grandchildren on the way, it's going to get to be a little bit tight. And we're lucky in that our garage, our current existing garage, is a perfect family room. We will just convert that, put a window in it, close off the garage door, and we'll have a great family room. We do, however, need a garage. We've been married 42 years, and we have 42 years worth of stuff. We currently rent storage, so it'd be nice to have a garage on site. To make a long story short, when we came in to start the permit process, I found out about the setbacks. We went back home, moved 25 feet off the back wall and 15 feet off the side wall, and that 67-degree angle pushed a building with proper setbacks out into our yard, into the irrigated and landscaped part of our yard, and put it right underneath our neighbor's really beautiful cottonwood tree. And I assume you guys are all residents of the village. Some cottonwood trees lean, and that does not make them any less attractive. They're still wonderful. So we are longstanding members of the community. We understand the character of the village. We understand the kind of things we're looking for. We're asking for just enough movement here to get out from underneath that tree and to sort of fit into the property. We have, in your packets, there are approvals from both of our neighbors on each side. We did not ask anybody else because this building will, our garage will be invisible from the street. Frankly, we would choose not to impact our neighbors if this was going to be painful in the neighborhood, but it's not. So given that they've recommended approval, I will shut up and you guys can get home. If you have questions, I will try to be as thorough in answering as I can.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners for the applicant? We have no one signed up to speak in favor. Is there anyone in the audience who didn't sign up who wished to speak in favor? We have one person signed up to speak in opposition, Nancy Robinson. Are you present? I'm not in opposition to that. I am in opposition to opposition to what?
Mr. Chairman, she had said in opposition to a different item.
Isn't this 2303?
This is V2303.
Well, that's,
She may have done the wrong, that's okay.
okay, there's no one then speaking in favor or in opposition. No further comments from the commissioners. The floor is closed for comments. Is there a motion to approve V2303?
I move we approve V2303.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Gay, sorry, missed that. Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Michelson, yes. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Let the record show that the public hearing item 4B at the request by James and Patricia Tilley for a variance is formally closed. CS 23-3, a request by Najima Plaza LLC for a preliminary plat review for a major subdivision in the VC zone in the 4th Street character area. This property is located at 6502 4th Street Northwest, is legally known as all of Lot A, EXE East 165.84 feet of Blanche D. Dobican subdivision of Lot 2, Merritt, and contains 0.5016 acres more or less. Are there any commissioners who will recuse themselves from this item? Director Rubin, may we have the planning report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item before you is a request for a preliminary plat review for a major subdivision in the VC zone in the 4th Street character area. The proposed project is a new residential development on a vacant lot, formerly the location of a gas station. Previous approvals for this project include a conditional use on the property for townhouses with a minimum of 24 dwelling units per gross acre, and additionally, a residential site development plan approved by the board. This application is requesting a major subdivision to replat the property so that each dwelling is on its own lot with a form of shared ownership and interest in the common areas. As the subdivision would create more than 2 lots, it is considered a major subdivision. On April 11th, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the sketch plat application for the major subdivision. The owner is now requesting a preliminary plat review for the proposed subdivision, the second step in the major subdivision process. Following this review is one more meeting before the Board of Trustees for preliminary plat approval and a meeting for the final plat before the Commission. The subdivision must be filed with the Bernalillo County Clerk's Office prior to issuance of any building permits. At the sketch plat hearing, the Commission did not note any changes to be made by the applicant. The department recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval for preliminary plat for a major subdivision in the VC zone in the 4th Street character area to the Board of Trustees with the conditions noted in your planning report with one minor change. Staff recommends that on condition number 1, the term "if necessary" be added at the end so that the condition would read, per 9.1.8 A2A, proof of financial responsibility on the part of the subdivider will be required prior to preliminary plat approval if necessary. This is because there are no public improvements slated for the subdivision that the village would be accepting. So I wanted to recommend that is placed in that condition. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
Any questions from the commission for Director Rubin? Is the applicant present? Please come forward, state your name, and tell us about your subdivision.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Chris Pacheco. I live at 5905 El Prado Northwest, Los Ranchos, New Mexico. There's really not too much to say here. This process has been going on for almost 2 years, but the site plan has been approved. There are no deviations from the VC code in the site plan. The site plan was approved in July of 2022. We had the review in April of this year in front of this board. There were no actionable comments that came from that. There was some discussion on parking. The VC code requires 1 parking space per unit. This development has 23 parking spaces, so we're over parked by 11 spaces. So we've endeavored to create as much parking as possible. With that being said, I have nothing to add. I stand for questions from the commission.
Any questions from the commission? Are there anyone who wants to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who wants to speak in opposition for this application? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Nancy Robinson. I live at 231 Willow.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I wasn't sure if Ms. Robinson was sworn in either.
Oh, I had my hand up.
Did you have your
Yeah,
hand
I
up?
was
Okay,
sworn in.
missed it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I live on the county portion of Willow Road, so not in the village. But I come as
Speak a little closer to the microphone.
I come here as not only an individual living on Willow Road, but the president of the Merritt Acres Neighborhood Association. Basically opposed to this because of the parking situation, knowing full well that to subdivide and have nowhere near, of course, low income and the beautiful 3-story with the patio roof, people are going to have to be able to afford that. And I know that all of this is kind of geared around building residential, multi-residential. I understand the plan. If you sell these individual 1,800 square foot 3-story deals, and you only have one person working and cars. Yes, we all would like to develop walking and so on. But the corner has been a problem for the neighborhood. We have already in last April submitted where we really would like to have a site evaluation. It's a terrible corner. This is right on the corner. And if you don't have parking within the subdivision to accommodate who lives there, where are they going to park outside of that? We have a problem with the parking outside anyway, because there's really nowhere to park. And if you have something nice like that and you've paid for this townhouse, well, you're going to have company, you're going to have family. They're going to be up looking off your patio roof. Okay, so that's a concern to us. But what I'm here for tonight, basically, is thank you, Maida. Maida has said that guidelines, let's see, where am I? 9.1.7 have been met, 9.1.8 have been met. We contend that 9.1.6, the guidelines have not been met for the very beginning of what your plat plans should look like. And what we're looking at is, I pulled out my piece of paper that was my bookmark there, okay. When you go to 9.1.6, you go down to C, which is considerations for subdivision plating. You go down to number 2. You have geographic, that's not it. Number 3, soil conditions, which are unusually limiting. And I had questions for Chris on the quality of the soil. Are there any plans or expectations? Has Chris done any sort of preliminary checking to see if these tanks have leaked? Are there any sort of concerns about the soil itself? Okay, that's part of 9.1.6 as we see it. The problem too is 9.1.6.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you finish your thoughts? Your time has expired.
C4, which is other geographic hazards to life, health, and property. And we feel that this is real there, and it needs to be looked into before it's approved. And then I guess I can ask questions of Chris after. Correct?
Say again?
Can I ask Chris questions after I'm done here?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would the applicant like to address the concerns the speaker has brought up?
Yes, there are two concerns. One was concerning the soil. As we all know, that was a prior gas station. It is considered an environmental zone right now. In response to testing, it's been tested every 6 months for the past 20 years. In response to that, a letter of no further action is expected in September, October timeframe. The environmental department has deemed that there is no further action necessary. The wells have been capped. The final report has been turned in. I actually talked to the environmental department today. I didn't talk, I traded emails with the environmental department today. They said it takes 3 to 4 months from the wells being capped to get a report, and we should expect a report in the September timeframe. So in response to that question, yes, the soil's been tested every 6 months for the past 20 years since it was a gas station, and the tanks at that point, which was 20 years ago, had leaked. So the site has been completely remediated. There is a no further action letter coming, and I think that would address that concern. In terms of parking, the specific article cited was geography. Geography has to deal with location and topography. The location of the site is the location of the site. This is the third development on that site. Since it's been developed, it used to be a home, then it became a gas station. Now it's going to be a townhome community with 12 homes. The site plan has been approved. It's 100% within the VC zone. Topography, I'm not even too sure what we would address there. There's no hills, there's nothing there. We talked about this. There's a line of sight, there's a line of sight triangle. We made sure we designed it so that the building would be on the southwest corner, sits back, so that it doesn't affect the line of sight at the intersection. In terms of parking, I brought that up. We're over parked by 11 spaces. I can't address hypothetical future parking situations. Yeah, maybe someone will park there in Willow, but I drive by Willow almost every day, and there's always someone parked in Willow from the current residents. I don't understand why these residents of Willow would not have the same rights. So there's not too much else I can say. I mean, we're parked well, it's been soil tested every 6 months, it's getting an NFA. In terms of geography has to deal with location topography. There's nothing there that would preclude this from moving forward. And I stand for any further questions.
Do you have any different questions? All right, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Chris said all the remediation had been done. I'd like to know how that can be verified and how they would know that, because once you dig, once you pull a tank out, there are still tanks there, correct? No tanks? Oh, okay, I didn't know that the tanks were already out. And when it comes to parking, and I know Chris, he works right there on 4th. I live on Willow. I can tell you that when it comes to parking on there every day, that is not so. I've lived there 28 years. There's not parking in the street there. People park in their yards. There's really not room. It's narrow. The only thing that parks there now is people with on Chris's site where they have a food truck and they park. The place next door used to be the check cashing place, which is closed, which I've talked to the new owners, and they're thinking about maybe a topography store, you want to call it a green plant store. But there's really no place to park. It was a problem when they had parking on Willow, I guess north and south, headlights to taillights was already kind of a problem there anyway. The intersection has not been looked at in anything more than the traffic study for the corner, which says there will be absolutely no change in traffic, which we know is not going to happen like that. You just can't put that many people and the street sets up like they are. Parking is going to be a problem. There's no place for anybody. Yes, the residents, but it's kind of really unnatural to think that there will be places to park them other than on the street, like parallel to somebody's fence. It's a safety issue. It has always been a safety issue. We have a problem with that corner anyway. These are my concerns. It's not a personal thing or the 3-deckers or anything like that. It's a bad intersection. It's unsafe. There's no place for people to park. Where are they going to go? And like I say, someone's going to have a graduation. Somebody is going to have go see their mother for Mother's Day. It's a parking thing. It's not unusual, and the traffic's going to really be heavy there once everything is all in place. I think please, I'm asking you to please consider that. We have the grandkids, going back and forth. It's just needs to be looked at. Thank you. Sorry, Chris.
Are there any questions from the commission for the opponent or the proponent? The floor is now closed for comment. Is there a motion to recommend approval of S2303?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All right, we will have a roll call vote. Commissioner Barrow,
Yay.
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Commissioner Michelson, yes. This motion carries unanimously. Let the record show that the public hearing, item 4C, a request for a Mightygen Plaza LLC for a preliminary plot review for a major subdivision in the VC zone in the 4th Street character area is formally closed. There is no old business. There is no new business. Could we please have the Planning Department report, Director Rubin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In addition to our typical department duties in May, the Planning and Zoning Department staff attended a semi-annual New Mexico League of Zoning Officials training offered via the New Mexico Municipal League. Some main topics included an intro to cannabis regulation, a walkthrough of code enforcement operations at Bernalillo County, and a thorough planning commissioner training centered on the roles and responsibilities of planning commissioners. I would be interested in working with NAN to provide the commission with a similar P&Z training if that is something that's of interest. Please let me know if that is, and we can get that scheduled. Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you, Director Rubin. Are there any reports or information that any of the commissioners would like to have addressed at this time? Well, I think I need at least 15 minutes of arguments. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor can leave. This meeting for June 13th, 2023 is adjourned at 7:42.
Little, only if you're sitting there.
You want, I was wondering if you wanted my,
John Hancock,
Yeah.
absolutely, for the minutes. No, just for the minutes that you guys just approved from last month's.
okay.
And then I'll upload them on this website. This was a good meeting. This was the quickest one.